So again, I'm Kathy Quince with Cool Choices. I'm delighted you could join me today to talk about how we generate Earth Day enthusiasm every day. It's terrific to have all of you here today. So Cool Choices is a nonprofit. We work with businesses and whole communities to inspire people to adopt sustainable practices. Our quest is culture change. We're really trying to work with entities to get everyone enthusiastic about and participating in sustainable practices in a way that can move organizational and even whole community goals forward in amazing ways. And so, as you would expect, this time of year we're having a lot of conversations with folks about Earth Day. And, what plans people have and whether we might come and talk there. And so it just seemed like a good opportunity for us to have a conversation about Earth Day strategies. And really, I think my theme today is maybe to push people to think about this in a bigger way than maybe they have historically. I want to start, though, by acknowledging that it's really important that you're talking about your successes. So if the only thing you do on Earth Day is share with your employees or your community the accomplishments that you've made in the last year, that's outstanding. Okay, that's a really important thing. The more you talk about what has already been accomplished, particularly if you can put that in terms that people understand. So saying we saved enough electricity to power a town, not we saved this many gigawatt hours, because nobody knows what a gigawatt hour is except you and me, and we don't count in this. So getting that to a place where it's really a compelling conversation for real people is really important. Okay, I would never discourage you from that. What I want to really push you on is what else you're doing besides sharing that story. And part of what's important to think about here is what your aim is. So arguably, if you're doing an Earth Day event at your organization or across your community, it's because you want more people excited about and participating in your sustainability efforts. You want to engage everyone. You want everybody to help pull toward these really important goals. The challenge is, though, you're picking a day or a week and saying, well, this is the point where we're going to talk about sustainability, about our water conservation goals or our energy efficiency goals. And then for 51 weeks, we're going to talk about other stuff, but then we'll come back to this again. And that kind of momentary attention creates a lack of consistency that can be really challenging if what you're really trying to do is accomplish culture change. So if you want to move a whole community to do things differently, talking about it once a year is not sufficient. And a big piece of that is the importance of consistency to people. So all the time we're doing things based on social cues around us. When we see a lot of bicycles or people on bicycles, we're more inclined to think we could bicycle, kind of thing. So there's all these ways the cues are telling us what's important to people, what is possible to do. And if you're talking about sustainability one day or 1 week a year, the challenge is, what are the other cues people are seeing in your environment? Are they going into the women's room and seeing faucets that drip, even though you've got this amazing goal around water conservation? Are they going out to the warehouse and seeing all kinds of vehicles idling, even though you've got these climate goals? And that's a problem. And I I know that as some of you hear that, you think, but Kathy, be real. That faucet in the bathroom is dripping a tiny bit of water. We're implementing protocols that are going to save hundreds of thousands of gallons of water a year. They're not on the same scale. And I totally get that. The trouble is, rank and file in your organization doesn't get that. For the regular staff, it's kind of like when you smash your thumb with a hammer. Suddenly, everything you touch, your thumb is in the way. You've got these things that are standing out to them as examples of how you're not doing what you could be doing. And it doesn't matter what those other numbers are. What I see are those idling vehicles and those dripping faucets. And so you really, part of your quest in this is to figure out how all the time you're being consistent about what matters. We did a white paper about this last year that might be worth you taking a look at, where we talk about the kinds of things employees notice. For me personally, it was really interesting to see how much of that was about procurement, where people were really acutely aware of how their organizations were perpetuating waste through various purchasing practices. And, that's the stuff that undermines what you're trying to do. And to be really effective at what you're doing, you've got to be addressing that. You've got to be thinking about, so how are we living? How do people know we're living our sustainability goals 52 weeks a year? How do we make that visible to them all the time? This idea that we're about what our commitment to the environment all the time, not just on Earth Week. We're about this all the time. And that's really your big quest in this. And, there are a variety of ways you could do that. That might mean that even as you maybe celebrate annual accomplishments around Earth Day, you've also got some dashboard of your progress on sustainability that employees can always access. You've maybe got an update in the company newsletter or on the intranet or somewhere that people are seeing things. And we'll talk about some other things you can do in an ongoing way to facilitate engagement. But it's really important that not just be once a year, that you're really thinking about, how do we do this all the time? How is this something that our stakeholders know we care about 52 weeks a year? Okay, not once a year. The other piece of this that is really important for you to think about is, how do you really engage people? So ultimately, you want people excited about what your organization or community is accomplishing and raising their hand saying, I want to be part of this. I want to help do this. You want genuine engagement. Too often, though, when we think about what happens during Earth Day, we have these where we're going to do a brown bag. We're going to do a sustainability fair so people get information about things. And I want to push you on that a little bit, that there's not any evidence that the problem is really an information problem. Yes, there are probably some opportunities to save that folks are not aware of, but for the most part, people know that it's better to not waste resources. It's the motivation to make that a priority in my life that's missing. And the kind of series of lectures isn't a particularly effective way to inculcate that motivation. I used to agree to do a number of Earth Day talks that I would agree that this time of year I'd be traveling around doing these brown bags or whatever for organizations, and because they asked me and it seemed like a nice thing to do. But ultimately, I wasn't really motivating people through that to get anything done. So we've really tried to step back from that as an organization and go, okay, this isn't the best way to do this. How do we really help people? And how do we help them get that full engagement so that people are actually becoming part of the solution? And, this always, how do you get engagement? We always come back to the same things about this. First and foremost, you make it easy for them to do the right thing. I rail about this often in webinars that anything you can do to make it easier for people to make the right choice you should be doing right now immediately. The idea that people would go out of their way to do the right thing if they were good people, and so you shouldn't have to make it easy, is simply absurd. Given all the things that people are trying to pay attention to and get done, and all of the many conflicting priorities that are racing around in their heads, if we want people to make good choices around resources, we need to make it easy for them to make those choices. You know, that means there's a recycling bin next to every trash bin. That means that there isn't any question in people's minds about what we do with computers here in terms of how we shut them off, whether it's a good thing to shut off a monitor when I leave. We've made it easy for people. The other thing that's really important is to make it visible that people are doing the right things. And here, you know, this challenge around visibility has changed dramatically in the last decade, because today almost everyone in your organization is carrying a camera in their pocket. We have an ability to spontaneously catch people doing the right things and share those photos. And this is a thing that you could do year-round. You could have people submit to you photos of other people doing sustainable things. Maybe once a month you call out someone for the amazing thing they did and someone else for a great photo. Suddenly you've got some chatter happening all year round about sustainability, and everyone is seeing examples that other people are doing this. Again, social cues. So rather than letting me obsess about that faucet, you're not only addressing the faucet, but you're also showing me all the time that my colleagues are doing things to be part of the solution, which is a really powerful thing to show me. Finally, we think it's really powerful to introduce an element of competition here. To give people, and again, you know, even my example about photos, I'm telling you to have people submit them to you and give a prize, which could just be a shout out, by the way. It turns out that people are less worried about winning something of significance than that they won. I often say to our partners, you know, what matters is I won the prize and you didn't, not what the prize is. The prize can just be a clapping email, and I still won and you didn't. It's still satisfying to me. So thinking about how competition can be part of that is a really powerful thing. Maybe you recognize the department that submitted the most photos. Maybe you recognize the shift that reduced fleet costs. All kinds of ways you could creatively do that. And you know, all of that is stuff that we do, of course, in our platform. Just to give folks who aren't familiar with us a tiny bit of an overview of that, you know, we use an online, completely customizable platform where we go into businesses or whole communities and we give people an opportunity to play a game. You sign up, you form a team, and over the course of 6 weeks, you get points for the sustainable things you do. You can win some nominal prizes like a reusable water bottle, but mostly you get bragging rights. And what happens is the system is transparent, so I can see that other people are doing things, which is really powerful. And the game format facilitates conversation. So it gets people talking to each other about what they could and should be doing and creating that momentum and excitement that generates engagement. So it all circles back together. So really, I kind of want to close just by encouraging you again to think about how you exemplify your organization's commitment to Earth Day every day, year-round, 52 weeks a year, and then how you do that in a way that is actually engaging to people, how you really make that a powerful experience that gets people excited about what you're doing and sharing what you're doing with their family and friends. One of the great privileges we have at Cool Choices is working with companies and communities who are doing amazing things. And I don't say that lightly. Really, you are doing amazing things. You're reducing emissions, you're changing the kind of water and energy profile of your organization in sometimes ways that completely astound me. People need to know that. If they knew, if they were talking to their friends about that, imagine how that changes your profile in the community. Imagine how that changes your quest to recruit and retain staff. There's all kinds of benefits that come from having a culture where Earth Day is every day. So that's really your quest. That was my soapbox about that a little bit. I want to open it up to questions. So there on the side of your screen is that go to webinar bar. If it's not open, you can hit the little orange arrow and you'll be able to type a question into the box. And we'll respond to those. So this is a fair enough question. Yes, so saying, okay, Kathy, we get it. Not once a year, but management expects us to do Earth Day activities once a year. And I think that's a really good point. I think partly what your job is as the sustainability lead is to help them understand how the conversation about sustainability has to happen year round, that it can't be a thing we bring up once a year and then put on the shelf again. And maybe the best analogy here, and I recognize it doesn't work across all industries equally well, but certainly in anything with a kind of manufacturing side to it, the analogy to safety, I think, is an important one. You know, you might say, well, we wouldn't just talk about safety 1 week a year. We live safety every day. That's what, if in the end our goal is to transform our culture around sustainability, and that is what we've agreed our goal is, then we need to think about how to do this all the time. Yes, we could do a slightly bigger, noisier celebration of all the cool stuff we've done on Earth Day, but that can't be the only time we're talking about this, not if we're serious about what we're doing. So, good question. Good to, because I think you want to engage management about why this isn't, why we're not doing a sustainability fair, why we're instead inviting employees to share their own sustainability stories, which is another kind of angle on this I should have talked more about. You know, it's one thing for you, the sustainability lead, to be talking at people about what they could be doing. It's a really different and much more powerful thing if you can facilitate the employees talking to each other about this. And I think about our own experience. In one of our early programs, we were in northern Wisconsin, and we were doing a brown bag about strategies for cooling your home, because some things I do before I learned that they're not the most effective way to do them. But in any case, at the brown bag, one of the attendees was a staffer at this organization who was originally from, I think, Louisiana. And as we were talking about options, she talked about where she was from, and she said, you know, the way you guys cool your homes is completely nuts. And she started to talk about how in a really hot, humid place like Louisiana, they use their air conditioners in very smart ways to minimize costs. And the room was enthralled. It was way more interesting than kind of my facts and figures about this, and she was really influential. So, you know, thinking about how you do that and how you engage other people. Okay, and then we've got a question about someone wants to reduce waste and getting people to bring their own cup rather than using paper cups. The resistance is about having to wash it. And so how do you make it easy for people to wash their cups? So I don't know if it's appropriate for me to confess that occasionally I rinse out my cup that I drink tea out of. It seems like there's not a. I think, one of the things we do at Cool Choices is we have a bottle of dish soap that people can use to wash out their cup or wash their reusable silverware after lunch. To make it easy, again, you create the opportunity for people to rinse that out. Certainly in lots of other organizations where, there might be a dishwasher where people can put their cup in it if they need to, kind of thing. But yeah, thinking about, and I guess I would wonder, is that resistance coming from frontline staff, or is it are you getting that resistance somewhere else that people are going, well, we can't encourage people to do that because this will be the problem? I think about the experiences we've seen in organizations. We have seen places where there's resistance to using reusable cups, with the sense that, well, we can't use these with our clients. They expect us to have bottled water, as an example. And being able to really have that conversation about, well, actually, some of our clients are horrified when we offer them a bottled water. This isn't something that they expect, and it gives us a chance to talk about our commitment to sustainability, kind of thing. So I think, yeah, creating, we're a tiny office. We have dish soap that people use to wash out their cups, and it seems to work really well. Okay, sorry, the little question box, there are a couple questions here. It's just a trick to always get to see them. I may be wrong. It looks like that was the okay. I guess I got it. So it looks like that's all the questions we've got, actually. So with that, I'm gonna let you all go. Tell you to have a terrific Earth Day. Figure out a way to engage people so that you're engaging them 52 weeks a year. And thanks for all that you're doing to make our operations across businesses and communities more sustainable. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.